Hello and welcome back to Twist and Tale Short Stories, a collection of tales with dramatic and unexpected endings. Today I'd like to read a story from my first collection of tales. This is one of the first stories I ever wrote, entitled A Dark Winter's Tale. The story is about young student Sarah, who was on her very first hill walk in Glenshee, Scotland. She gets detached from her group and lost with darkness falling. All the while, a serial killer has escaped from prison and is believed to be in the area. I hope you enjoy the story. The chilling wind raged ferociously through the intimidating trees surrounding me, making the bare branches high above tremor and howl as the rain drove down without mercy through the darkness. I'd been scrambling desperately over the bracken, lost on the hill for what seemed an eternity. I looked up, just about able to see the outline of the branches towering over me and the black clouds shrouded above. The icy raindrops fell on my face, and I quickly lowered my head, pulling the hood of my anorak tighter. I continued to make my way blindly with no idea of direction. I figured if I kept heading downwards, I would eventually come to the road. My mobile phone was useless for light as the battery had died, despite John giving specific instructions to us yesterday. "We are going on a lesser known route up Ben Gulabin in a circle that will bring us back to Glenshee," John had informed the small group. This would be my first hill walk, and I was very much looking forward to it, though in truth, I would have preferred to go in summer rather than the middle of winter. At least it would be a break from studying for a few days. "Make sure you bring your mobile phones, just in case of an emergency, and that they are fully charged, especially you, Sarah," he had added, looking at me. Everyone had laughed. My reputation for being a bit scatty was well known. Only last week, I left my college assignment that had taken me 3 months to complete on the bus. Fortunately, my name and Edinburgh University were written on the cover, and I got it back from my dismayed tutor a few days later. Despite that personal warning, I'd been so excited to be hill walking in Glenshee that I'd completely forgotten to charge my phone. Now here I was, detached from the group and unable to phone anyone for help. No doubt John and the others would be trying to contact me. Initially, when I realised I was cut off, I'd waited, but once the rain started and darkness fell, I decided to try and find them. That was stupid of me. I should have remained where I was. I had no choice now to make my own way back to the hostel and meet them there. I fought my way through the bracken, cold and wet. I could feel the rain seeping through my anorak, and my hands were freezing, my thin gloves offering little protection from the harsh winter conditions. As the trees became sparser, I was aware of a clearing ahead. My heart lightened. At last, the road. I felt instant relief as my sodden boots touched the tarmac. But which way should I go to get back to the hostel? I had no idea. Looking right and then left, both ways were pitch black, but either would surely lead to some sort of civilization, a village, or at least a farmhouse. I turned right and started walking, the rain still pouring down, but I felt safer now. On and on I trudged along the winding road. The rain turned to hail in the increasing cold and bouncing off my anorak. Suddenly, I could see the bend ahead being illuminated, getting brighter and brighter. Then I heard a sound that brought immediate joy, the low hum of a car engine. As it turned the corner, I could see the headlights on full beam, lighting up the trees on either side of the road. I raised my hands and started waving and shouting frantically. Closer and closer the car came. I moved to the side, still waving furiously. To my horror, the car sped past me and disappeared around the bend. I was devastated. My arms slumped to my side, and I stood motionless, with my head bowed. I felt like crying. Once more I was alone in the darkness. The engine faded as I looked into the emptiness. I was left desolate, with the sound of the hail beating down and the wind whipping around me. As tears began to well in my eyes, the curve began to illuminate. Another vehicle. Perhaps this one would stop. I scarcely dared to hope. The road brightened. I could hear the engine, then saw the headlights. The car was approaching slowly. I leapt into the middle of the road, waving and shouting, desperate to be seen. The beams shone on me as the car stopped in front. It was the same one. I rushed to the passenger door, grabbing the handle and yanking it open. "Thank you so much for coming back. I didn't think you would see me," I gushed as I got in. I quickly closed the door to keep the rain out, extinguishing the light inside. I looked at the driver and could just about make out his large silhouette in the darkness. "It's so cold and wet out there," I added, fumbling with the seatbelt. "You are my saviour." I tugged it hard, but it refused to move. I think it's stuck. "Allow me," said the driver in a deep, gravelled voice. He reached up and switched on the light. For the first time I could see him clearly. He was a big man, middle-aged, with a bald head and a black grizzled beard that was greying over his chin. His eyes were dark and sunken, and he was wearing a shabby brown leather jacket, torn on one sleeve, over a crumpled grey shirt and dirty blue denim jeans. As he leant forward and reached across me, I was struck by the smell of stale cigarette smoke that pervaded his clothes. I was conscious that his body was touching mine as he wiggled the belt before pulling it slowly over me and securing it in the buckle. It felt uncomfortably tight across my chest, but I did not like to complain. I prayed it would be a short journey. He turned the light out, casting us into darkness, and the car moved off. We sat in silence, the only sound being the hail beating down on the roof. "I was hill walking and got lost," I said. He made no reply, his hands fixed firmly on the wheel and his eyes looking straight ahead. "We're staying at the hostel in Glenshee," I continued. "Is this the way to Glenshee?" Still he made no reply, his unnatural silence becoming increasingly unnerving. "Can we have the radio on?" I asked, eager to mask the uncomfortable silence. He did not answer, but reached forward to the radio and turned the dial. "Next up, a classic from the Eagles." My mind turned to recent events. They were strange. He passed by me on the road, turned around, picked me up, and was now heading back in the same direction. Where was he going? The car filled with the haunting music of Hotel California. The guitar picked out each note, made more chilling with the accompanying hail above. "This is a dangerous place for a young woman to be by herself at night," he said. There was something unsettling in the slow, deliberate way he spoke each word. Oh, I'm not by myself," I replied hurriedly. "There's a big group of us. They're waiting for me right now, back at the hostel." I looked towards the windscreen, through the wipers, sweeping the water away furiously, out into the darkness. The headlights illuminated the winding road and trees that seemed to surround the car. The seatbelt was taut across my body and seemed to be getting tighter. Who was this man beside me? I would never normally get into a car with someone unknown, even less so at night on an isolated road. Yet here I was, pinned in a car with a total stranger. "Is this the way to Glenshee?" I asked it again, wringing my hands as I waited for a response. He was silent. Why would he not tell me? Abruptly the car screeched to a halt, causing the seatbelt to cut into me as I was propelled forward. My heart was beating fast, and my mouth was dry as I looked at him in terror, my eyes wild with fear. Without a glance in my direction, he opened his door slowly and got out, closing it firmly behind him. I watched him through the windscreen as he walked down the road in front of the car, the rain pelting off his bald head. This was my chance to escape. I grabbed the buckle in both hands, furiously pressing the button while I pulled on the strap. It was stuck fast. Outside, I could see him bending down in the middle of the road. When he stood back up, he had a thick branch in his hand. I yanked the seatbelt more violently. Open, damn you! I tried wriggling my body out of the strap, but it was too tight across my chest. Suddenly I became aware of the radio.
We interrupt this program to bring you breaking news. The serial killer, Joseph Kerensky, known as Joe the taxi killer, who escaped from Shot's prison last week, has been spotted in the Glenshee area. Police have advised all residents to be alert. He is known to be armed and dangerous and should not be approached.